All right, welcome to chapter 4. This is 4.1. This is the first lesson. In this chapter, in chapter 4, we're going to be taking percents, fractions, and decimals. Those three uh, forms of a number, and we're going to be able to convert it between each one. So if you have a decimal, you'll be able to make it a fraction and a percent. If you have a percent, you can make it into a decimal and a fraction. If you have a fraction, you'll make it into a decimal. Those three things, you'll be able to go back and forth. Okay? And it's an important skill to have. We're going to start with 4.1, and this is two things. One is we're going to learn how to do a percent to a fraction, and then after that, we're going to go from a fraction to a percent. So we're not dealing with decimals at all today. It's just percents and fractions and how we go back and forth. All right, so let's start here. If I have a number 60%, 60% means I don't have 100%. If I had 100%, I'd have everything. I don't have everything. 50% we know is half. So 60% is a little bit more than 50%. So I have more than half. This part of the percent, the 60, that's the part. Now this percent symbol represents 100. 100. Okay? So, and that would be the whole. If you remember anything about fractions, you remember a fraction is part on top and whole on the bottom. So then the way we convert this from a percent, 60% to a fraction, we put the 60, which is the part, over the percent, which is 100. 60 over 100. Now, of course, we're not done because we got to simplify it. So I take 60 over 100. I can see that 10, both can be divided by 10. So we go 60 divided by 10, that's 6. 10 divided by 10 is 10. They're both even numbers, so I'm going to divide those by 2. And that gets me 3 over 5. So that's how I take I take a percent, 60%, and I change that into a fraction. Basically, all you got to do is take whatever your percent is, put it over 100, and you have your fraction. So if I have 32%, I just take 32, put it over 100, simplify it, and then I've changed it from a percent to a fraction. Okay? Let me show you why that's true. If I have a square box here, I have 100 squares. It's a 10 by 10. 10 by 10, which if you count all these squares, there'd be 100 of them. That's 100%, all of them, 100. Now if I color in 35, there's 10, 20, 30, and 5 right here. So there's 35 squares colored in. So what I have here is my part is 35 out of the 100. So it'll be 35 out of 100. 35% equals 35 out of 100, which equals that. Now, of course, we do need to simplify it. So 35 over 100. Both, one ends in a 5, one ends in a 0. I know I can divide by 5. That gets me 7. That gets me 20. Now 7's a prime number and it doesn't go into 20. So 35% is the same as 7 over 20. And I've changed a percent to a fraction. Okay, let's do another one. Let's do this one right here. 3%. 3 is my part. A percent would be 100%. So 3 over 100. That's all it is. Now, can I reduce this? This one can only go into 3. So does 3 go into 100? No. So, that's my answer. Okay. I have a couple other. Oh, here, I want to show you this. If you have, sometimes you have more than 100%. So if you have more than 100%, you need to see what that is. Oops. 168%. So I have 168%. I have more than 100%. So I take this, my part, 168, and there's my 100. 168 over 100. Now I can simplify this. They're both even. I know that's going to get me 50, and that's going to get me 84. They're both still even, so I'm going to cut them in half again. That gets me 25. Oops. Gets me 25. 84 divided by 2, that would be 41. Okay. Oh no, not 41. 42. So I have 42 over 25. Now that's improper. So then we have to go like this. 42 divided by 25. How many times does 25 go into 42? One time. And that would be 25. Subtract that out. That gets me 7. 17. Have nothing else to bring down. I'm going to have this as a fraction. 17 over 25. So 168%. 168% as a fraction is 1 and 17/25. All right. That's all you got to do. You take your part here, put that on top, your percent, which is 100, on the bottom, and then simplify. All right, let's do one more, like 83%. Now 83%, I take my part, which is 83, and I put it under or over 100. 83 over 100. 83 is prime, so nothing will go into that, and 83 doesn't go into 100, so 83% to a fraction is 83 over 100. All right. Hopefully, at the very least, you understand that you just take your, I get 12%. You just take this right here, put that on top of a fraction, and you take the percent, which is always 100. Oopsie, that was crazy. You take your part, which is 12, put that on top, and your percent, which is always 100, on the bottom. 12 over 100. And then simplify if you need to. 60 over 50, 3 over 25. All right. So that's how you take a percent and write it as a fraction. Now, say we have a fraction, and we want to write it as a percent. And this is what happens on your tests. So if I give you a test that has 4 questions and you get 1 right, so you get 1 out of 4, 1 out of 4, and you see 1 out of 4 and you say, well, I wonder what grade that would be, what percent that would be. This is how you figure it out. You got to get this bottom here, you got to get that to 100. Once you get that to the 100, then you have your percent. So 4, it's getting bigger, so 4 times 25. 4 times 25 gets me 100. 1 times 25 gets me 25. So 1/4 is the same as 25 of 100. If you like working with the ratio tables, it's this type of thing. How do I get from 4 to 100? Times 25. 1 times 25 equals 25. So I have 25 over 100. Now I just do the opposite of what I did over there. This 25 is my first part. My 100 is that. So I just took 1/4, made sure it had 100 at the bottom, and then I was able to write it as a percent. All right, let's do it with 3 over 50. I do a test, I get 3 right out of 50. Not good, not good. Okay, so now all I want to do is I want to get this 50 to 100. How do I get 50 to 100? Times 2. Then I times 2 here. So 50 out of 100, 3 out of 50 is the same as 6 out of 100. Now because I have 100 here, this becomes my part, and that becomes my percent. So 6 out of 100 is 6%. Let's do it with this one. I want to get it to 100. 50 to 100. Again, times 2. 31 times 2 is 62. So 62 out of 100. 62 is my part, and 100 is my percent. So if I do 31 out of 50, it's the same as 62 out of 100, and it's 62%. Okay, we gotta wrap this up. We're running out of time. 19 out of 20. Again, I wanna get this to 100. How do I go 20 to 100? Times 5. 19 times 5. If I wanna do that, I go 19 times 5. That's 45. And 5, that's 95. Okay, so 19 out of 20 is the same as 95 over 100. Now if I do 19 out of 20 on a test, I'm excited because that as a percent is 95%. 95%. That's almost everything, almost the whole. Okay. Now this one, look here. 1 out of 200. I want to get this to 100. I'm getting smaller, so I have to divide this by 2. And if I divide 1 by 2, that gets me 1/2. 1/2 over 100 is 1/2%. So you can have a little fraction, but percent is the key here. You took it from this fraction, which is 1 over 200, and converted it to a percent, which is 1/2%. Okay, I have time for one more problem. Now, we have a mixed number. Let's take that into improper. 2 times 1 is 2, plus 1 is 3, 2. Now, I want to get the bottom to 100. How do I get from 2 to 100? Times 50. 3 times 50 is 150. This top part is the part I have, 150. And that is my percent. So 1/2. 1 and 1/2 equals 3 over 2 equals 150%. Okay, hopefully this gives you a little refresher from what you learned in class, and we will continue to do fractions to percents and percents to fractions.